Just from a side joke, when I saw the graduate level reasoning, I thought to myself, and this is again coming back to my years as a professor and working with educational institutions, is are we moving into an era of where we're going to potentially lose the thought process, right? People are
Wow.
going to start really relying on these models to do the thinking for them rather than being able to critically analyze and research on their own, right? So now the research becomes how well can you prompt? How well can you query the prompt? And oftentimes, I will say that I use a starter prompt to help me prompt even better.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things of where you've got to understand what's the best avenue towards efficiency.
Hmm.
Not necessarily saying that, oh, you want to do things the hard way because it proves your rigor or your strength in the way that you're approaching. But if it takes you 15 years to do something that could have taken you maybe a month in using a tool that's or a service that's available to you, where's the benefit there? So I think that's going to really shift the way that education moves forward, right? Not just from a career or enterprise perspective. I know we talk about this quite a bit from a healthcare, education, public sector, but what is that going to mean for our schools? Right, as we move into maximizing and leveraging these, and not just from the students, from I'm thinking the professors, the teachers, the everyone behind the scenes, is what is that going to do and how does that shift the way that our school systems at every level is going to move forward? So
You know what I think about as you say that? I remember when text messaging came out and emojis came out,
mm,
right? When we first started texting before emojis came out, I remember our parents saying things like, "Oh, you're not going to be good writers." you know,
bingo, bingo,
you got too much autocorrect here, right?
yeah,
Now you're using emojis to represent words, right?
yeah,
And what I see is that they're still good writers, but it's very useful, right? To
hmm
have a tool to say, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm stronger in the thinking department. Maybe I'm stronger being analytical,
hmm
but my writing could use some help. And hey, use the tool, ride the wave, and now you can be more efficient. So I like what you're saying.
hmm
There is an element of, where does this take us in the future? How should we be
absolutely.
actually using this tool?
Yeah.
Is it a shortcut? Right. And maybe it is a shortcut, but being able to use it properly as a research tool versus just showing.
Plagiarism.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, folks, makes me think about it a lot. I love what's happening in today's day. It's changing, right? It's challenging on every front on how we think. So
Yeah, the last time we talked about bedrock guardrails, right? And so even in the mention of plagiarism and how do we safeguard some of these things that the model can do, right, with the expected or unexpected output. And we go back to bedrock guardrails for a minute because it does allow customers to customize what type of response that the
yeah.
model provides.
Mm.
And it's another way, another feature of what you can tune and how you can operate driving towards what you want it to do. We've mentioned RAG as well, right? Retrieval augmented generation. And so what that does from a cost perspective, but also from a operational efficiency perspective, from a security perspective, is that it can help focus on what the knowledge should be retrieved, right? What information should be retrieved so that we can maintain consistency across the output, so that we can ensure that we're only looking at proprietary information when it's needed, so that we can look at customer data that from a customer perspective and also from AWS or Amazon perspective, right? Is what making sure that we're looking at the right information to
Yes.
provide the right reasoning, to provide the right next step, or to give us the right next step that we should be
Mhm.
taking. So there are a lot of different, I'll use the word parameters, but a lot of different mechanisms that we need to approach in understanding
Yes.
what our end goal is, working
Mhm.
backwards from that. It's really fundamentally one of our leadership principles, but it makes sense, right? We've got to work
Mhm.
backwards from what are we trying to achieve? I always remember the quote from Disney in the sense that if we build it, they'll come. No, we don't want to necessarily do that. We want to understand what they want and then let's go
Yes.
build that. And then
Exactly.
they'll come.
Wow,
And
that's
so
excellent.
there's a purpose behind what we're doing. So I take that approach quite literally in a lot of different ways in my life. But
Mhm.
when I think about as a systems engineer, as an AI systems engineer, as a
Mhm.
cybersecurity analyst, as anyone who is looking to understand the services, the technology that you're using, it's understanding what is the end goal, what is the objective, and then working backwards from that.
Absolutely. That brings me to a conversation that I had with someone who's in tech education coach. And I think
Ooh,
that it might be a good opportunity to, at some level, in some way, talk to that person. But somebody was talking to me about tech education. I really wanted to know how AI is being used in the school system. So I had a
right.
conversation, and the conversation led to them choosing tools that are right for a few things. And I think you spoke on it just a few moments ago. How to keep the kids secure. Yeah, this is an
Mhm.
application that can help us forecast test scores and help us see areas that we can improve on within the school system. But if the tool itself is not protecting the children and the information of those
Right.
children, then it's not going to work out. And it just dawned on me right now, Coach, is that folks like me and you, folks, other people who are watching this video, it's up to us. Right. Just because somebody makes an application doesn't make it the most secure. But if you have knowledge on how it can be secure, it's time to get
Right.
building. It's time
Right.
to reach out to those educational people and say, hey, there is something like Amazon Bedrock where you can establish these guardrails. And maybe the application isn't as robust as it needs to be when you first create it, but it can get there. But at least you can tackle the security portions first, right?
Right.
Through that conversation, I knew that she was very intelligent. She even leads these conferences and she speaks about AI. But through the conversation, I realized that, hey, there's some information that she doesn't know she's missing. And if she had that information, wow, she can protect those kids and wouldn't have to put those tools down. So,
Absolutely.
great point to make. So, Bedrock, knowledge bases, and Amazon guardrails can help you out with that process.